So investing in expensive cardboard is expensive. So we're going to do the budget option of what everyone slides into and just do a dueling book deck profile. So this is a deck that I have tried to build on numerous occasions. However, your boy does not like spending money, and that leads me to peasantry options of just trying to acquire the stuff for cheaps. I've acquired 99% of this, except for the Rights of Artemisia, which kind of make one of the engines really, really dead. But, anywho, this is my branded Eldlich list that I have built. The only reason I built this was because me and my friend Rob have been theorizing this deck for months. Like, since the branded stuff was announced, we started theorizing from then. We realized that the extract list is garbage. So instead of using that list, so with the amount of bestial stuff running around the format, this is why I've designed it the way that I have. So going first and second list, technically, it's supposed to do both. There are some questionable choices in here, but anywho, we'll just go into the deck anyways. So we have 3 Eldlich the Golden Lord. Now, the reason why we play 3 of this over 2 is because the bestial cards exist, and when you run out of lords, it makes it harder to do big pushes, but it's also a 10 that bleeds into a big train, and big train go brrr. So yeah, that's why we play 3. Then we play the 2 Albars. I tried to cut it down to 1, but 2 is the correct number because if your Brand of Fusion gets, if the monster you summon off your Brand of Fusion gets negated, the other Brand of Fusions are dead in your deck, and drawing Albaz isn't actually the worst thing under the sun because it's free spot removal of just random stuff because your opponent has to either negate it or get rid of the Albaz, and fair enough, you lose a card from your hand. However, there are like a bunch of stuff in here that you're not too bothered about discarding, like the Eldlich cards you can discard, the Water Enchanters you can discard, Banshee you can discard, so it's not like the worst thing under the sun. 3 of the best card ever, Lava Golem. If you go second and you draw this, you cracked your opponent's board because, well, the branded stuff pops, well, gets rid of the 3rd card. So in theory, you get rid of 2 monsters. In your supply matchup, you know what to hit. In your tier matchup, you just get rid of whatever negates the monster effect, and then the Eldlich just gets rid of the final thing. So it's not really much of a problem. Then there's the 1 Magician Souls. The Souls is just there for the free draw too, and it makes an anima. If your opponent doesn't play around the anima, then it's actually quite funny. But anima is a win harder card, so that's why we have it. The 1 Banshee, because this gets us to Zombie World, and it is a nice, lovely dark target for Lubellion if we want to use the Lubellion. The 1 Griffin Rider, this is just for the adventure package, no really to explain there. 2 Water Enchantress. Now, the reason why we played the 2 Enchantress is because the 3rd doesn't come up. Literally doesn't. I played this deck enough times on Dueling Book to know that if the 3rd one comes up, you're already losing, and it gets to a certain point in the game where you don't want to see any more of your adventure stuff because you just want stuff that can output a lot of damage in one go, and just unfortunately Enchantress doesn't really do that. The 1 illusion for the Soul Send, and also is technically playing a 2nd soul without playing it. The 3 Branded Fusion, I'm not explaining this. 2 Cursed Eldland. Now, I've gone back and forwards with Cursed Eldland. In Pure Eldlich, I don't play Cursed Eldland because there are better cards to play. However, in this build, I think that Cursed is actually a very good card because it searches into the Eldlich. Your opponent has to negate the Cursed Eldland. If they pop it, you get a free send, which just means you are going to get extra damage on board. The only iffy thing is obviously if Cursed stays on the field, only zombies can attack, but you tend to go Cursed, search Lord, send whatever your opponent has, and then get rid of Cursed to bring itself back and just start outputting lots and lots of damage very quickly. The 1 Draco back for reasons. The 1 Fateful Adventure, reasons. The Foolish Burial, this is to... The reason why we play this instead of cutting it down to like a 40 card list is the fact that you actually want to see Foolish because there are multiple things that you can foolish. You can foolish the Water Enchantress, you can foolish the Lord, you can foolish the Banshee. So just having them in the graveyard, it's like an extra way to any one of them that you need. Prosperity over Extravagance, because when I tested the first version of this actually played a higher branded count in the extra deck so that I could activate Extravagance and not lose. But the amount of times that my luck is just absolutely awful, to say it nicely for YouTube censorship, no, that's not the fact I don't want to swear on camera, is for the sole purpose of Extrav, banish all your Mirror Jades, sad times. Extrav, banish too many Mirror Jades, sad times. Extrav, banish Albion, great. I have to send a dark target that I don't have in my deck because I've done the combo correctly. So this just allows me to like hit the stuff that I don't necessarily need multiples of. Usually I go for 6 if I'm going first. Once I know what my opponent's playing, I tend to start going for 3 because I want to keep certain things in my extra deck. 2 rights, we don't need more. It starts to break on itself, and technically it's 4 rights counting the Water Enchantress, so we just don't want to draw more of it. The 1 Zombie World, this actually does come up in a few matchups. It's one of those cards where it's easy to side out with Banshee, because if there is a matchup where it doesn't affect your opponent, then there's no point playing the Zombie World. I know that you can see directly beneath it, there is a Rivalry of Warlords, so you activate Zombie World with Rivalry up, your opponent can't summon. However, you have to, number 1, guarantee that you're going first to set up the play, and number 2, there are sometimes better cards to side in than this. Then the standard Eldlich package of 3 Conquistador, 3 Sanguine, 2 Hawkwarrow. It doesn't really need explaining. You can play a 3rd Hawkwarrow, but I think it's bad if you play a 3rd Hawkwarrow because you don't want to see it that often. It's only there if you need it, and Conquistador does puts in a lot more work recently. The triple Rivalry of Warlords, I know that you can see that I'm playing different types in the form of zombies, fiends, dragons, spellcasters, the whole shebang sort of thing, but it's just the ability to go Lava Golem, standby phase, flip up Rivalry. Now all I have to do is just not die for 8 turns and you lose. Pretty much it. And then the 3 of the best cards, Skill Drain. It's just really, really good for the sole purpose of Mirror Jade sense cost. So I can just send the Albion to just start filling up my grave for next turn. It doesn't really do anything to me personally. Fair enough. It stops my souls. It stops my Griffin Rider. It stops me Albars. However, I can live without those if it means my opponent cannot play. As for the side, 3 Inspector Border, amazing. You go first. A lot of decks can't deal with it. Tier have a very bad day against it because they have to draw the field spell and then draw the stuff to actually just crash into it, which if you've got Eldlich stuff to protect it, they're not doing anything to you. The 2 Sphere mode, the reason why we don't play 3 is because I don't really like siding in 3 Sphere mode for the sole purpose of Sphere mode and Lava Golem combined kind of conflict with each other. Because if you have 6 targets in there, chances are at least every 4 or 5 games that you have them in, you'll draw both, and you won't want both. You'll want only one of them and a branded thing. So it's some theory that me and my friends came up with where it's only really 5 kaijus that you really need if you're going second to break the board. Anything else is just too many. 2 Twin Twisters, this is just to hit any sort of back row. As it is, I was tempted to put in Cosmics instead because Runic, they tend to keep the stuff in their hand, but then I realised Twisters are still good because you can just pitch the cards that you want in grey or the cards that you don't care about, and you can hit the field spell, and then you might hit Smashers if you're very lucky, or another spy card, so that's why we keep the Twin in for now. Anti-spell, because we go first against certain matchups, we just auto-win. Triple Dimension Barrier, Declare Fusion, you're having a good day. And Triple Evenly, we play this over Lightning Storm, because Lightning Storm doesn't do anything against Tier, and Tier is going to be the most represented deck that I'm going to probably see on Dueling Book. And there are quite a few people at my locals that do play it as well, and pushing those to one side for competitiveness. The reason why you play Evenly is because the cards get banished face down. That means your opponent cannot get them back unless they have an Omega, which against the Tier matchup is very good now. It is very good. Lightning Storm doesn't do anything because their spells and traps trigger when they're sent to the graveyard, and you don't want Lightning Storm the monsters because they just bring themselves back. So Evenly is much better because it just gets rid of everything, and all you have to really deal with in hand is then a Harvenus, which the great thing to deal with a Harvenus or any of their fusion stuff is you activate a Zombie World, and it's a lot harder for them to summon because their fusion monsters require Aquas. Anywho, to the extra deck, we play the 2 Albion. We banish one of these usually off Prosperity and leave the Lubellion, but it's still good. The 1 Lubellion for if I know the Zombie World is going to be needed in that matchup, because I just send the Banshee and make Mirror Jade that way. The 2 Mirror Jade, it's very rare that the second one will come up, but you will want it there for those matchups where it does matter. The 1 plays, I never summon this, but it's there just in case. The 1 Gustav, because it burns in time. The Juggernaut Lead, because you establish this big triangle. The Dark Charmer, the only real targets for it is like the Albaz and that, but it's very rare the Dark Charmer does actually come up. It's more in the case of just doing extra bits of damage or clearing the Lord off the field so that I can bring it back for more damage. The 1 Imduct, because this is better than Link Spider at times. It just depends when where your opponent summoned the monsters. So if they summoned in the wrong place, free pop. The Phoenix, because back row removal. The Link Spider, because sometimes Imduct doesn't do enough damage, so you need that extra 200. The Liner, because light targets are amazing. The 1 Relinquish Anima, this is like my tech choice in this, because the only card that can make the Anima is the Magician Souls, but it's just something that if your opponent, again, it's like the Induct thing, your opponent puts things in the wrong zone, and then, hey presto, they die quicker. And the 1 Vampire Sucker, because zombie stuff, and it summons zombies to your opponent's field. So if you clear their board but can't kill them, you flip up Rivalry, make the Vampire Sucker, and give them a free zombie. And then how you prevent them from outing the zombie is you Conquistador the Vampire Sucker, unless you give them a monster that's big enough to just walk over everything on your field, which then they're locked into there, and then it's a case of Summon Lich, Punch. But that's really it. There isn't really anything else I can particularly say about this. I am contemplating building a new version of it where it does play runic cards in. It does not play Fountain, because Fountain is not needed. We only play the runic cards specifically for the fusions and the fact that they pop things. But besides that, nothing really else to say about the deck. It's just a fun deck, and once you've actually got the hang of how it functions as a deck, it's very good to play. It is very rewarding in the sense of your opponent doesn't actually completely know how to deal with it all the time. The only things that I was contemplating changing in it is I was going to take the anti-spells out and play summon limits for the sole purpose of after the Mirror Jades pop the entire field, if you can establish a summon limit, then they're not going to reclaim back the field, and just golden punching is very easy to deal with, and the sole fact of summon limit says you can only summon twice, so it's fine. You Lava Golem Lord, or you Albaz fusion into Mirror Jade, or there's just so many ways into things. So yeah. Anyway, thanks guys for watching as always. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be signing out now. Peace.